Hey guys, this is a friendly game between me and a friend from locals. I am on the left playing my Reasoning Gate deck, and he is on the right playing Chaos Turbo. Um, I start off the game making a Thousand Eyes because I wanted to get some value out of my Serpent. If you guys follow my channel at all, you know I have a pretty weird Reasoning Gate build. Um, I think the card that I took was pretty bad. I think it was a Sangan. Um, so yeah, not the best, not the best. Um, And if I remember correctly, this game one was very slow. Like I think I opened up all three scapegoats in the first 3 to 5 turns, so it was pretty drawn out, and I couldn't do a whole lot. Um, but it does get interesting later on in the game, and the rest of the match is pretty interesting as well. So I'm thinking here, but I think ultimately I just pass it over to him. I think I might have another Metamorphosis in my hand, but I decided to hold it. He goes Thunder Dragon, search two Thunder Dragons. And he obviously can't flip his face down without outing my Thousand Eyes, so I'm kind of okay with that. I'm kind of okay with just chilling here. Um, okay, he tributes Serpent for Zaborg. That's a pretty nice play. And he gets his Sanguine Surge, so that's a very, very nice play. He's going to get his Serpent back. He's going to get his Sanguine Surge, and Zaborg is just inherently a +1, so um, that's kind of like a +3 right there. That's really, really good. Um, Swings in with the Zaborg. I believe I have Scapegoat, which I'm going to use right here just to save some life points for a Dimension Fusion play later. And I think I have multiple Scapegoat at this point, so totally fine just saving some life with that. Upstart, put him at 9,000, I believe. Yep. And there's my Dimension Fusion, so I have something to work towards, but um, I'm still a little ways off, I believe. I do have a Dark in the Grave in the form of Thousand Eyes, and I do have a Sacred Crane in my hand, I believe. But it's going to be a slow game. Okay, so I normal summon the Crane and decide to meta right there. Why did I do it this way? That was probably not the best move. I wanted the Crane on the board in case I need to tribute both Thousand Eyes and the Crane for Demok, but I probably okay no well hmm. I could have just made the Thousand Eyes first, and if he has Torrential, then summon the Crane main two. But low key, I think that I wanted to get Torrential right here to clear my board and get the Crane to the grave. I think I would not have been that upset if he. I'm pretty sure I thought about the Torrential play, so I summoned the Crane first and then meted, and if he Torrentials, that's fine because I had the Dimension Fusion and possibly a Chaos Monster. So he summons Tsukiyomi. That's that's fine. Get in there for 1600 damage, and I think he. Okay, so he jars. I'm pretty sure I have another Metamorphosis in my hand. That's probably also why I wasn't super afraid of the Torrential earlier. Okay, so he hits the back row. That's not good. Oh, okay. That's why I was kind of trying to bait out a torrential actually. Like I wanted him to torrential get my crane in the graveyard, and then I had this Call of the Haunted play. And if I remember correctly, I also had a giant Trunade in my hand, so I could have Trunated and then called back the crane for a draw one. So yeah, I think I was trying to bait out a torrential earlier. But he hits that back row. That's not really good. I was really hoping that he'd get rid of my crane and I could get value off of that call. And then he just banishes the crane, so not great. I believe I have another meta. Let's see here. I do know that he has the Tsukiyomi in hand because he just showed it earlier. Um, okay, I decided to hold that. Interesting. Okay, so I know he has Tsukiyomi still in his hand. I believe I just set another scapegoat. So, very, very slow start. He's just getting some value off of his Chaos Sork. It ends up being pretty good for him summoning that Chaos Sork early because he just gets to keep banishing things. Um, but I think ultimately I'm still chilling at this point in time. Okay, Wonder what he's thinking about. He might be thinking about Tsukiyomi versus another monster. Okay, so he goes for the breaker and he gets kind of punished here. If he had summoned the breaker first and popped before clearing with Chaos Orc, then I wouldn't have gotten to activate that. But at the same time, you kind of want to get the value out of Chaos Orc ASAP. Um, Although I guess like if it was torrential, it doesn't really matter. If he gets the value off of Chaos Orc, so maybe summoning breaker first was the right play. I'm not sure. So I rip a Graceful. I'm getting pretty deep into the deck, but I'm just not really drawing what I need to see at this point. Um, I think I'm probably still waiting on a Chaos Monster or something, and I don't have a Light in the Grave. Um, I think. I'm pretty sure, yeah, the Crane was probably my only light, and it got banished, so here we make a really, really not a great play. It really feels super suboptimal. Um, Oh, actually, wait, hold on. Okay, sorry. I could, I was gonna activate Dimension Fusion for Crane for draw one, but I didn't see that I didn't remember that he had two cards that were banished. I couldn't see them for a second. So he's nice and lets me take back that Dimension Fusion, but I totally did not want him to get back his Sangan and Thunder Dragon. So I'm gonna wait till his board gets a little bit bigger and he doesn't have space to bring back all of his banished monsters, and then I'll activate the Dimension Fusion. So at this point, he's banished probably like three cards off of that one Sork, so it's been getting pretty great value. And I think he's going to summon the Tsukiyomi um, and flip his Tokoichi face down, if I remember correctly. Oh, no, he just attacks with those two. And then he probably opts to set one. Yeah, if he's not going to Tsukiyomi, then he's probably just going to set one. At this point in time, his hand is so big. He's discarded for hand size, I think, a couple times. Or if not yet, he does it a couple more times, but he's consistently had like seven cards in his hand every turn. Let's see what's going on here. I think I ended up pitching that Dimension Fusion off of Graceful because I think I had three Dimension Fusions in my hand. I think I still have two more in my hand right now. And I finally set the Serpent. I'm pretty sure the back row is my third scapegoat. He's getting a little greedy right here, or maybe just impatient since the game is going so slowly. But he gets Dekoichi, hits my Serpent, and I have my third scapegoat. So he still has done zero damage to me. um, yeah, it's kind of frustrating. He's had this huge board, but he's done zero damage so far. Um, I think this is the point where I go for the shitty Dimension Fusion play. He can only bring back one card, which is Sangan, which he's probably going to bring back Sangan. But let's see what I do here. I True Nade first. Okay, yeah, True Nade clears back row. Nothing that he could do, or nothing he could chain apparently. I pay 2,000 basically just to summon Crane and draw one, which is a +1. Um, but you don't really want to be doing that. But I kind of needed to at this point. I think I'm going to try to go for game right here, or or at least make a big push. Okay, so I snatch steal his Sork. I banish his Sangan that he just brought back off of my Dimension Fusion, and then I think I tribute his Sork for Zaborg. Oh no no for Jinzo. Okay, I don't have Zaborg. Zaborg would have been nice, but I think his face down is probably just oh no, I think his serpent was in his grave right there. So I'm not sure what his face down is at this point. It could be a Knight Assailant. I know he likes to set Knight Assailant a lot. I clear his two phase up monsters, and I'm gonna let him flip his card. I'm thinking it might be a Knight Assailant, so if it is, then I'll just let him flip it on his turn and leave it in attack mode. Um, let's see here. At this point, like the game is a little bit more neutralized than it should be. Like I was pretty lucky that I lived this long. And True Knitting his back row to his hand and then summoning Jinzo was really good. I think because he has a lot of traps, so he's not going to be able to activate most of those. And he, oh, I guess it was a Knight Assailant because if it was, he definitely would have hit the Jinzo with it. So his old set definitely is not Knight Assailant, which by some deductive reasoning, that probably means that his new set is more likely to be Knight Assailant. So I attack with Jinzo first. Okay, there we go. Yeah, so I read it right. The new set was Knight Assailant, so I'm not going to attack the new set with Jinzo first. Like, Jinzo is going to be the card that he Knight Assailants no matter what. So I'm going to attack his old set because I was reading Spy since he didn't flip it. So cleared that, and then attacked his Knight Assailant, and then he cleared my Jinzo. So that works out pretty well. If I did it in the reverse order and I attacked the new set with Crane or Jinzo, then I wouldn't have been able to clear one of the Spies. So that was decent for me. Um, Okay, so lucky for me, he doesn't have the. Well, I have 8,000 life points, so it'd be pretty hard to OTK me. But he goes for just a small push right here, clears both my cranes and these scapegoat tokens with his tribe, and pushes for 2,800. Um, I guess he doesn't have. Well, I guess it would be pretty hard to go for game in that situation. Um, and then at this point, I'm like, okay. Um, I think I have a pretty decent hand. I think my hand right now is a Dimension Fusion and I think two Chaos Sorcerers. So I can summon this Sork and I don't call priority because I'm going to wait till my Dimension Fusion resolves to banish this card. Since I don't call priority, he decides to go ahead and Raigeki break the Sork. But I was ready for this and I have the second Sork banishing that first Sork and another Crane. I still don't call priority. And now I rip a huge Dimension Fusion and ask him if he has Solemn Judgment. And he doesn't have the Solemn Judgment. So I get this massive Dimension Fusion. And I'm pretty sure he is playing Judgment, like at least two copies, maybe even three, I forget. But I get this massive Judgment, and I draw two, shut off his back row. And then I think I also make a push with DMOC right here. So I'm going to use my Sorks to banish some of his cards. I'm going to choose to banish the Tribe first because I cannot let that card live. I do want to banish the Tribe and the Sangan, but I need to get rid of the Tribe just in case he has, something, maybe like a Book of Moon to stop the other Sork. I can't let this Tribe stay on the field. I'm not really sure how it would stay on the field, but I just want to make sure we get rid of it first. So we banish that, and then we go ahead and Monster Gate the Sork that we just used to see what we get. I have two more targets left in the deck, so I'm basically just trying to swap it out for a monster that can attack at this point. And then we use the second Sork to banish his Sangan, I believe. Yeah, so we banish the Sangan with the second Sork, and then we tribute that Sork and the Crane for DMOC. And another reason I used that Monster Gate was because I was trying to mill through my deck to dig for Lightning Vortex, and I did hit the Lightning Vortex, which was pretty lucky. Add the Vortex to my hand, pitch the Serpent, and attack for game. And actually, my last card of my hand was a Monster Reincarnation. So next turn, I would have gotten Serpent back and could have Monster Reincarnation for BLS. So I was in a pretty decent spot. Okay, second game I believe is significantly faster than the first one. So my side strategy against Turbo, since Turbo is a very fast deck, and then also it banishes cards for Chaos Sorcerer, that means that they benefit off of my Dimension Fusion, right? So I typically want to end the game as fast as possible against Sork and don't want to let them, build up too much of a banish pile. So I usually side out some of the monsters and basically only leave in the really good ones to hit off of Monster Gate, which are the two Cranes, the DMOC, and the Jinzo. And this way, you're just like turboing through your deck a lot faster. You're not hitting Serpent. You're not hitting your, other levels, and your Monster Gates are very highly likely to get to hit DMOC, right? If you draw, just say one Crane or one Jinzo, it's got like a 33% chance to hit the DMOC off the bat. So what are we doing right now? So I clear his back row and I set one, which is kind of a weird play, but my one back row is a Scapegoat, and I have to guarantee that that lives because if he is, a good player, if they Raigeki break the back row in the end phase, then I would be really screwed because I need this Scapegoat for sure. So here is where maybe I make a misplay. I could either take both of these spies, one of these spies, or none of them. I decided to take one and let him hit one Scapegoat, leaving me with three. I could have let him hit, two and have two Scapegoats. But I wanted the third in case I don't draw any gas and I need to live a little bit longer. But I do believe this ends up kind of screwing me because having the three tokens clogging the field um, discourages me from going for a push. Whereas if I had two, then I might have gone for the push and ultimately probably won the game. But yeah, so we hit the Seikyu Crane off of Monster Gate. I think I have another Monster Gate. And at this point, I'm like, there's just Demok, Jinzo, and Crane in the deck. Like, if I hit Demok, it's going to be game over. But I hit the Crane, which is unfortunate, but we do get the draw. And at this point, I'm in a decent spot. I could just, hit both of his spies. You might be asking why you put both of his spies in attack mode. That's partially my fault. Like, I've been kind of telling him how I think he should play his spies against Reason Gate, which is like usually you want to be just pushing as much as possible to reduce the Reason Gate player's life below 2,000 as quickly as possible so they can't Dimension Fusion. So I've been kind of like coaching him to attack with both spies, especially because this deck doesn't play any defensive back row, but he does end up getting punished right there because I clear both spies. So that's unfortunate, but in general, I think it's the right move to be attacking with both spies against the Reason Gate player. Okay, so I think it's like here I could have made a push last turn. I believe I have Dimension Fusion and a Chaos Monster in my hand. Um, I think I have BLS, like Okay, yeah. So I had an amazing hand. I had BLS, Lightning Vortex, Monster Reincarnation, Dimension Fusion, and I was just waiting for one more turn because I could only summon, two more monsters, which would be BLS and one monster, and I wanted to get more value out of the Dimension Fusion. So yeah, yeah, it just kind of sucks. Um, he ends up card destructioning me, and that ends up being pretty crucial. And then on top of that, he can clear my entire board with this one Syrup Priest. So that was a really, really nice play for him. Yeah. So he got punished for my two cranes clearing his two spies, but I'm about to get pretty punished by this Syrup Priest. Okay, let's see what he does here. So he just clears my entire board, dealing 200 damage. Syrup Priest goes back to his hand, which is kind of fine by me. He doesn't have a monster that's stuck on the board, so it's not the worst. And I am still pretty high on life, 6,600. So I dropped this Sork right here just to get some monsters banished. Unfortunately, the Sork that I banished wasn't summoned properly, so it's not going to come back off Dimension Fusion. But I just want to start getting some damage in there. Syrup Priest is not going to be helpful for him at all here, so um, I figured I could just, start chipping away at his life. And I'm pretty sure by summoning this Sork, I have like a contingency plan, whether it's like a scapegoat or something else. Let's see what he does here. Okay, I don't remember what he's thinking about. Maybe he's thinking about summoning his own Sork or his own Chaos Monster. Okay, he just ends up setting one and passing. Um, I'm wondering what that is. I'm thinking maybe it could be a Night Assailant. Actually, I just totally forget what the card is. I have no idea at this point, but um, like he knows I have to attack with the Sork if I want to get through to him. So a Night Assailant would be possible. I set one back row before attacking because like I know he likes Morphing Jar as a card, and I don't know if he plays it in this deck, so I really just don't want to attack into a Morphing Jar, or at least set one back row before attacking to the Morphing Jar. But it's just a Koichi. Let's see what he's got cooking here. I'm honestly not too upset about this position that I'm in. I think the card that I set was another Jar of Greed. I think I drew into Jar of Greed of Jar. So he rings this Sork, which is interesting to do. Okay, sorry. Yeah, okay. He rings the Sork and then he heavy storms me, which is, yeah, feels really bad. Oh, I had a ring back row. Shoot. Okay, I had actually pretty good back row right there. Um, he could also, I mean, he should probably heavy storm and then chain the ring, but I mean, it's pretty much the same outcome, just probably slightly better sequencing to do it that way. But I think both of my back row were live. I think it might have been torrential and ring, so that heavy storm was huge. And he gets in there with breaker and sork, so I'm pretty sure he just put me below 2000 because that would have been 4200. Um, Yeah, 4200 and he ringed me. Okay, so actually he ringed me for 23 and he did 42 right there, which is 65, and I was at 66. So actually he put me at 100 life right there, and I think that exact turn I drew Dimension Fusion off the top. So he put me at literally 100 life right now. I make a pretty cool play with Snatch and Jinzo, and but I'm sitting at 100 life, and I think he's sitting at like 1200 or something, not too high. But he does have the tribe, and both my back row were bluffs. It was just like a brain control and some other dead card, which I couldn't even activate brain control. So he takes that game. So we move on to game three. I think I make a pretty big play in this game three. We'll see here. All right, so upstart into pot into upstart is a pretty good opening. Drawing four cards deep, and we're just gonna rip this reasoning right off the bat. Again, at this point, I'm only playing the two cranes, the Jinzo and the Demok. So I usually wouldn't rip a reasoning first turn, but I must have a follow-up play if I'm doing this. I think I probably have a premature in the hand or something like that, maybe. This way, that if he gets the Demok correctly, then I could just pre-mat it back and get pot back to my hand. Um, but I end up getting the Jinzo. I think at that point in time, like I was also coaching him here to that calling eight was probably the best level, and it's like if your opponent has Pot of Greed in the graveyard, you kind of have to call eight unless you really, really just cannot deal with the Jinzo. Like unless your whole hand is trap cards, then maybe Jinzo's the right call, level six. But I think with that grave, I would highly recommend calling level eight in that situation. So Jinzo chilling behind one back row. I think my back row is, I have no idea, but hopefully it's a scapegoat. And the first turn Jinzo I think does do work. I think he must have opened up with some traps. Yep, it was scapegoat. So let's see here. Maybe I have Monster Gate in my hand. Maybe I have meta. I do have the meta. I take his face down, and I'm taking it in case it's Night Assailant ends up being the Serpent, so that sucks. But I Monster Gate it away right away, and then we hit the Demok. And again, at this point, all I have is Demok and two Cranes in the deck, so this Monster Gate is going to be fire no matter what. And I think I just attack for 5200 here, put him on a two-turn clock. Um, I can't really push too hard because I have these three scapegoats. Um, but yeah, so what did I do right there? Oh, I think I Monster Gated again. I think I just added back Monster Gate off of DMOC, just to push for 52, 68, and guarantee another draw off the crane. So I probably just do the 68 and end there. And I think I have some follow-ups in my hand. Um, I'm assuming I have Dimension Fusion, otherwise I probably would have added that back with DMOC. So this Jinzo is putting in work, no back row for him, and he obviously can't get rid of it so far. Now my hand's looking pretty good. You might have seen that mind control. I mean, it's dead right now since my board is full. But let's see what I pitch here. I pitch a Crane and Scapegoat. Scapegoat's not doing much right here. Crane, meh. I think I have some Chaos Monsters in my hand too. Um, what does he do right here? I could have sworn he um, I don't want to spoil it. I could have sworn he's able to out this entire board at some point, but I might be misremembering. And I think this might be a Night Assailant, so I'd probably attack with the Jinzo. Because again, he's gonna pop the Jinzo with Night Assailant if it's it, so you want to attack with the Jinzo. It ends up being Spy, and I clear both Spies, removing one of them with Demox effect, and get in there for 1600. And at this point in time, things are looking pretty good. I think I'm fine if he clears my field, if I remember correctly. I think I should have a Dimension Fusion, but I'm not entirely sure. Okay, so he just summons Breaker and clears one Crane, which is not too good of a play. Um, but I guess he's feeling pretty desperate at this point. Um, but I do get a little bit mean here, and I think I either snatch, steal, brain control, or mind control that. Yeah, so I snatch, steal that, and pop his new set, which ends up being a judgment, which he couldn't activate anyway, and then just attack for game.